Hey, what's up, guys? Most welcome back to the Ugaman family channel. And guys, we are so excited. We are super thankful for what you guys are doing on supporting us on the channel. But hey, first of all, if you're new here and you're seeing our faces for the first time, kindly go down and subscribe to this channel so that you never miss out on any of our videos. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell. My name is Ugaman and I'm with
the queen herself, Bunny.
Yeah, so guys, today we're going to be talking about our last trimester, the last 3 months of our pregnancy. Man, oh man, these were the real test of experience for every father and every mother out there. I'm so sure that if you are a mother and a father and you've been staying together throughout this period, like when the mother to your child or your children is pregnant, our experience may not be so different from you, but being first-time parents, we may have certain things that maybe we never expected or anticipated to happen, but they really did happen. So I'm going to move in very fast, Bunny. We're going to talk about the last 3 months of our pregnancy.
Yep.
Then we're going to talk about baby shopping. And finally, we're going to talk about the labor room experience. Guys, don't go away. Watch this video up to the real end because you guys need to know what exactly I went through when I stepped in that labor room that day. So, Queen Bunny. Oh, meanwhile, this is real Shaka represented in this video.
He's sleeping.
He's sleeping as usual. I mean, kids sleep for a very long time. Almost, they sleep 90% of the day. And I think it is something normal, recommended by doctors.
It's actually healthy for them.
Okay, cool. Now, Queen Bunny.
Yep.
Take us through your experience of the last 3 months of our pregnancy. Tell us the real things that you went through. Because I remember in the previous video you told us you started getting fatigued, you started getting tired, but you only told us up to 6 months. Now tell us the last 3. What was your experience?
Continuing from the fatigue, I reached a point where my doctor said, Bunny, please go home and rest. Get off work, just go for bed rest, because I was feeling all sorts of things. I kept on calling him, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. But because me and him were well acquainted, he knew the kind of work I was doing. So I think he knew that, okay, she must be overworking, and I really was, to be honest, I was. So he just told me I need to go for bed rest. But apart from the fatigue, I remember I used to have crazy dreams, very crazy dreams. I don't even know where they come from. But you wake up in the morning like, what the heck was I dreaming? You know? But also with that came terrible control of the bladder. I remember the times I would walk, and maybe if I'm trying to rush to go somewhere, because I wanted to do things like I wasn't all the way long. I would be walking and I'm trying to rush, and then I would feel like the baby is really sitting and pushing on my bladder to the point that I want to pee, and I'm walking in the middle of somewhere. I can't branch. I can't just go and use any washroom. So, I mean, the bladder thing was another thing coming. I didn't have a lot of heartburn, but I remember I did have heartburn, but it wasn't too much for me. Anyway, we all have different body experiences, so.
Yeah, and talking about the forgetfulness. I remember, what were
terrible memory loss. Someone would tell me something now, and then the next minute I have forgotten. And like you talk to someone and you're like, oh, I thought, I think I asked you for this and this, and like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot. And there were people that were really understanding, and they'll be like, oh no, it's okay, we understand you forgot.
Yeah, and of course those that maybe knew that happens, but sometimes for me,
you wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know.
That is something called memory loss when you're pregnant.
Yeah, definitely, I wouldn't know. So Bunny, that experience was really so awesome that you've taken us through. Now, we are moving on to the part of the baby shopping. Now, I'll tell you personally that in the last 3 months, I know actually there is a lot of things that happen. You're feeling tired quite often. You wouldn't do much, and around that time, I think you are resting also a lot, as recommended by the doctor. But then we had this bit where we actually needed to make sure that we do buy the stuff that is needed for the baby and the mother for giving birth or even to be taken to the hospital. So take us through, Bunny, how did you go about this shopping thing?
For starters, I had a friend that gave me a long list of things needed for the mother and for the baby, both for the hospital and after the hospital. So it was a very long list. But I did do consultations around to find out from those who had had the experience what are the things that we should be able to prioritize, things that are a must-have, especially in the hospital. Because I mean, some of these things they could be on the list, but they're not that necessary. I mean, you could get them after, You don't need, especially the ones needed in the hospital. I mean, you could always figure out what happens when you get home, but the things that are needed in the hospital are a must, yeah. So we did that, and then I remember after me prioritizing, I did put the list into sections. We didn't go into the buying things once, because first of all, it is tedious. You are not going to be able to do all the shopping in one day. And I think I really used your help. We really did these things together. I would come up with the list, and then I would be like, okay, Ugaman, this is
I remember I would be the one going to execute and get the things home. But also mentioning that point of where you don't have to wait to do everything at once, because pregnancy and giving birth is an emergency situation in life. Every single day, a pregnant woman, a pregnant lady needs to be doing things right. And when I tell you guys it's an emergency period, believe me, it is. Because anything that happens, it could be dangerous to both the baby inside and the parent. So
we did start shopping, I think, when I was about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I would like to advise all the mothers out there or expecting mothers, please do your shopping as soon as possible. And if you do it in phases, it's better. But it's better for you to start when you're about 6 months, because you know that from then, any minute you'd end up in the hospital, any minute. So it's very important for you to have your things ready, especially things that you need to use in the hospital.
Yeah, very true. And also because you just don't know what can happen.
Yeah.
Guys, like I have mentioned, going through this period is like an emergency. So emergencies, you just can never be certain if you have enough financials, if you have enough support around you to make sure that if anything happened, you would fully be 100% ready to go through it at that particular moment. So I think this is why it is very important to do this shopping in phases and also to prepare in advance, because you don't want to do things in a rush hour.
Yeah. But also, you see what comes to the shopping, there are people that are very particular. They say, I have a boy, so I want to make sure I have blue this, blue that. Oh, I have a girl, I must make sure I get like all these shiny things.
Yeah, actually, I remember.
So
I remember we had a very big debate when the first time you told me we need to start buying things, we need to start, getting all these requirements and getting ready. I remember the first thing, because around that time you had known the sex of the baby we're gonna have, and for me, I tried. Guys, listen, and this is what happened to me. Now, in my mind, I never fixed my thoughts like I wanna have a boy or I wanna have a girl, because I knew I don't have any powers to decide what kind of baby we are gonna have.
Yeah.
So I definitely had to prepare my mind to accept anyone, any sex that came into our life, whether female or male.
But you were very stubborn about it. I remember a couple of times after I got to know, I felt like it was going to be very difficult for me to keep it to myself, because I know any minute I could say anything to you, Ugaman, and maybe the sex of the baby will come out. So it became a bit hard for me. I remember I used to pressure you, and I'm like, honey, do you really, really, really not want to know the sex of the baby because I didn't want to keep to myself. But also, it made the shopping a bit tricky because by the time I knew and you did not know. So I was like, okay, if I tell him that he should get a blue this, then he's going to know it's a boy. If I say, okay, we could get a bright color, then he's going to know it's a girl. So it became a bit tricky, but we figured it out anyway.
Yeah, all I remember is we had that conversation and definitely you told me. But the thing is, when you told me, my reaction was subtle.
Yeah.
It was not that, like, hey, because in my mind I'd already prepared that whether we have a girl or a boy, we should be able to offer the same love and same care
Exactly.
towards this child because boy or girl, they all deserve the love and the full care. So, yeah, so once we figured out that, I remember you would always tell me, hey, today this and this is what we're getting, or I have known this is where we're going to pick this from. Now, guys, one thing I should say is around that time when, our partners are in their last trimester, a lot is going on, they are really tired, and so they really need to partake in the selecting of the items that you buy.
Yeah.
I would actually suggest that you as a person who is going to execute, you give them the first priority of what they want to see, what they want to have, because when you bring it to them, they'll be the one to, look at it and know, okay, this is going to be good for my baby, this is going to be, this and that, and they are the people that are going to put them to use. So I made sure that I really look out for the things she asked for. And most of the times she could do research online, by the way. She would Google all these things, find out where we're going to buy our next thing, which I think is also very, very important to avoid buying wrong stuff. Because, man, you can't afford to buy fake things for the baby. You really can't afford to buy fake things for the baby. You could get an infection, get a disease, get funny things out of using fake products. So make sure the way you buy the things is a trusted source.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we get closer. Now, this experience that we're going to talk about next, Queen Bunny, is one that changed my life. And I'll tell you openly, if there are things that really are awesome, is the moment when somebody tells you, hey, you know what? After that home test, we are pregnant. That is a life-changing experience as well. Now, depending on the circumstances, whether you're ready or what, but if you're ready, actually, you are in a much better position because it brings you a lot of other things to, prepare for. If you're not ready, still, I would encourage that you find a way to get ready.
To absorb.
And, yes, to absorb the fact. And also, because when it happens, it's God's planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we are supposed to be careful when this happens, by the way, we should not let things happen just for the sake of...
It's very good to plan for things, especially babies, because babies come with a lot. The time, the finances, your patience, your characters, the things
your career,
the way
as
your
well.
day has been going,
Your career as
everything
well.
is going to change. So
Because-
you need to really plan well.
Yeah, your career as well, because in this period, you literally cannot be efficient 100% at your work. I remember you said the doctor told you to go and take bed rest.
Yeah.
So you had to get off work. So that is also very, very key. So, Queen Bunny, we get closer to the D-Day. In the first place, one thing that I remember is when the D-Day happened, it was sooner than we had expected,
Exactly.
according to the doctor's statements.
Yeah, I remember it was Wednesday that we went into the hospital, but the next week on Monday is when we were actually supposed to go for our very last appointment, have all the last checkups done, and then come up with a birth plan, a discussion between us and the doctor, and that did not happen. The baby said, "Oops, you guys, I'm here already." so change your plans.
So Queen, this day comes. Of course, I was away from you. I was somewhere far, and you are home.
Yeah, I remember you were away. I was at home alone with the help. By the way, guys, when you're pregnant, you need to be with someone at home. You need that help. Anyway, I was with someone at home. But what happened was that morning, because we went to the hospital in the afternoon, but that morning I was praying and I was saying, oh God, I'm so tired. Please help this baby come already. I remember talking to the baby. You guys, please, please, please talk to your babies. They listen. They understand you. They hear your voices. I remember talking to Shaka and I kept on telling him, baby, please, you know mommy is very, very tired. Please come out already. And I'm like, I was also very excited. I'm like, baby, I can't wait to meet you. So please just come. I slept up after like an hour of doing that. When I woke up, because I can't control my bladder, I rushed to the toilet. After the washroom, I go to wash my hands. Next thing I know, as I'm just there trying to put the soap on my hands, my water breaks. Literally, if you have watched a movie where the lady stands up and she's somewhere in the middle of the street or at home or whatever, and the water breaks, that is exactly what happened to me. My water broke. I got confused. I think I had like 10-15 minutes of trying to figure out what exactly was happening. I'm not calling you. I was very confused, but I called you either way. And then I'm like, okay, babe, I think this is happening. Like, now is the time.
Yeah, I remember I got that phone call actually. I was far away from you. So first thing that came to my mind was we need to talk to a doctor first.
Yeah.
We need to talk to a doctor first. And I remember you didn't have airtime on the phone.
I did not.
Around that time. So I remember you telling me that hey, the first thing you need to do, as soon as we are talking to you, like I need airtime right now. And I remember moving on the streets in town. Actually, I was in a meeting when you gave me that call. I remember rushing out and going to look for the airtime, which I sent you, and I think you were able to talk to the doctor.
Yeah, I remember you sent the airtime and then I called the doctor. I was like, okay, gentlemen, I think my water broke. So he asked me to describe the water and all that I did. And he's like, okay, now is time. He asked me one specific thing. Did you do the shopping? Because they had prior given me a list of the things that they needed for me to go with to the hospital, both for me and for the baby. Thanks be to God. So I packed using that list, but it was also good that we had shopped early because I don't know what we would have done. So we had already shopped, they'd given me a list, so I had already packed my bag. He just asked me, did you pack? I said yes. He's like, just gather yourself with your bag and everything that is on the list that we gave you and just come to the hospital right away. And then boom, we in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember coming after like an hour when you got to hospital.
Yeah.
And I found you. They had already admitted you. Of course, they had put you on some drips.
Yeah.
And of course, I think you had already had the first conversation as soon as you got to hospital with the doctor.
Yeah.
And the nurses. So yeah, I remember coming and I was. Let me tell you the truth. Coming to hospital was a lot full of different things going through my head. But one thing I was all praying for is God help us go through this safely.
Actually, let me just cut you a bit. When we got to the hospital, because my water had broken, I had not felt even one contraction. I was not feeling any pain whatsoever. I talked to the midwife. I met her and I was like, okay, this is what's happening. I remember asking her specifically, are you guys going to take me to the theater? And she told me it depends on what's going to happen. We're going to first check and see what happens. But I kept on praying to God. I do not want to go to the theater. I want to push out my shaka and God.
Yeah, so way interesting is when the real time arrived. After of course after a few drips, and this moment of your contractions and stuff where you're grabbing my hand so hard.
The contractions are painful. I remember grabbing on you and telling me I didn't even mind what you were feeling. I didn't even mind whether you were feeling pain or not. All I knew is that this thing like would grip you.
Yeah, meanwhile, I was ready for anything because the stories that I have grown up hearing is when a lady is about to give birth, she'll say anything, she'll call anyone, she'll abuse anyone. At that moment, she just can't control herself. So I was ready for anything. But surprisingly, all I remember was that too much energy that you had in your hand, that every time you would grab me, I would really feel the energy.
He was there.
So 1 a.m. Wednesday night, the nurses come and pick you from the bed and they take you to the labor room
To check how far.
to check how far your dilations were, and I think how far we were from the real point of giving birth. And guess what? Just shortly after they took you, she came back to where I was, and she said, "Hey guys, I need this and this and this and this. We are ready." I was like,
Now is the time.
what is... Oh my God. I'll tell you the truth. At that particular moment, I started thinking, but all I would think about what two things. I would think about the baby and the mother. And I'll tell you that is what was going through my mind. Being in a country where I have read a lot of stories that happen in that labor room, and a lot of miserable stories that go on, none of those could stop going through my head. Naturally, as somebody that has read all that, I had to make sure that I process and remain in a calm state. So I ferried all the things they told me to bring to the labor room. And I remember seeing you there, but I think because of the light that was up, that actually was, like pointed towards you, I remember you a little bit kept on touching your face and, moving your hand. And, yes, exactly, having this pain on your face. Your expression had that entire pain. So I brought the things. Then, because I had not told the nurses that I wanted to be in there, I called one of them aside. I'm like, "Hey, I want to be inside this room when she's giving birth." Then she told me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "But most people don't do it." I'm like, "I want to do it. I want to be in there.
Yeah.
I want to see how this happens."
It was the sweetest thing ever.
Giving you the background of how I thought about all these stories we read in the labor room, I wasn't ready to listen to anyone, whether doctor or a nurse, come and tell me a story that has happened literally 5 meters away from where I was when I could be in there.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me go in there. If anything happens, I'll witness it and I'll know exactly what has happened. Yeah, so 15 minutes later, we go into the process. Oh my God. I'll tell you, Queen, I started sweating. My sweating was uncontrollable.
Oh my God, it was too much. I remember I was having a lot of pain, but I remember I had one of the midwives saying, "Hey, you guys, you are really sweating even more than the one who's doing the work." In my head, I'm like, how the hell is this nigga sweating more than I am right now?
Every time the midwife would say push, literally, guys, if you're watching, I was the one pushing. Really, it was.
It was so funny. When I think about it now, I was like, what?
Now, let me tell you guys. When that happened, I remember I was holding you. I was standing beside you as you pushing. Then at some point, when you're almost done pushing, they grabbed the baby. Then one of the nurses actually asked for my help.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like because there were not enough in the room, but I was there to offer that because one was taking care of the baby, the other one was at the tools, and then this one was working on you. Meanwhile, I think it was also a very, very good thing that we had a good number of midwives in that labor room because
really
I discovered there's a lot of work also as the baby is just born. There's a lot of work that happens taking care of the baby.
And it has to be very fast.
Yes, and also taking care of the mother, cutting the umbilical cord, and all these things. So I remember one of the nurses saying, "Hey, please come and help me. Just keep sending me these things." So she'll tell me, "Bring me that, bring me that, bring me that." Of course, pointing where they are because I didn't know the names. And then one of the experiences that really changed my entire being is when she asked me to grab the light, and that when they were doing the process of after you giving birth, and she was like, "Help us with this light so that we see very well what we are doing." That experience was so amazing. Of course, at first I was like a bit kind of scared, like if I point badly and then maybe they don't do things right.
Real.
So I grabbed the light and we walked through it, and I mean, at the end of the day, they finished the process, and I was still sweating. I was still sweating, guys. Real sweating. You know, like my entire shirt was wet.
I remember when Shaka had just come out, because immediately they got the baby and put the baby on my chest for, I think, that initial skin to skin. So I remember holding Shaka and I said all these prayers onto my child. I said, God, you're going to bless him with this. My baby, you're going to have this, and I really blessed my baby. But while I was doing that, because he was right beside me, I kept on hearing him breathing in and out very heavily. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, so I remember after that moment, they sent me to pick something else from the bag for the baby. So I went very fast. Now, you really don't know how much excited you are, because let me tell you guys, the golden moment in every man's life, the golden moment in every man's life is walking to the labor room besides your partner as you give birth to your children. Guys, if
So
you
beautiful.
haven't done it, it is a redefining moment for everybody.
It gives a certain level of psychological comfort. I really think it did to you, because it did to me. I mean, I was in the room, I was feeling all this pain, but at the same time, I knew that, okay, my partner is here, he is seeing everything, and he's here to support me. So it really reassured me.
Can I tell you
through
the truth,
process.
Queen? It's actually not just the psychological comfort. I'll tell you the truth. The thing is this: when your wife walks to hospital and they're going to give birth, like I have told you, none of us does not read the stories, especially for a developing country like ours.
Yeah.
The biggest worry you have is the safety and security of these two individuals.
Yeah.
That is the top thing. Even the men that don't walk into the labor room, they keep pacing around the corridors waiting for the news, not because they actually like very, very much scared or what, but they really don't know what's coming up. And now for me, this experience of you being inside to witness exactly what happens, I think has a lot to do with how you know the process, and also how comfortably you make your partner stronger. Because sometimes someone could be in there and like, oh God, will he survive? Will my kid be nice? You know, stuff like that. So that is actually one of the things that I think every man should be able to experience. It's one that you need to have a strong heart, but I think it's worthy experiencing. And for me, I'll tell you, I have climbed buildings, I have gone up tall trees, I have gone, climbed up mountains, done all sorts of challenging things to myself, but that moment was one of the biggest moments in my life, and I think it's one of the things that I will never forget, and one of the things that, in a way, when you look at these babies being born and it's brought to you, you sometimes don't know the background work.
You don't know what
When you know the background work, and you've participated in it, it's an entire different feeling. So, this was so emotional for me. It still remains, but I'm so excited that I was able to see everything as it happened, and I was able to see how we gave birth to a child, how the mother was okay. Thank God we didn't get any complications.
Yeah.
But I think it's one process that was life-changing.
Very, very life-changing.
I'll tell you, there are like two moments which I think are very life-changing when you're going into the period of being pregnant. As a man, the real first moment they tell you that, hey, I am pregnant. That moment, a lot goes through your mind. It becomes a very sweet, exciting moment when they tell you and you're ready for it.
Yeah.
But also I would say, even if you're not ready for it, absorb it and then get ready for it.
Because at the end of the day, it is here to stay.
It has a lot of impact on how you even go through. Imagine, it cuts down the stress levels. The last thing that you want to do to your partner when they are pregnant is create stress for them. Naturally, there will be stress because of the body changes and hormones, but don't be the source of the stress.
To add more stress.
Yes, and I think that's one of the things, one of my friends who is like a senior father, big ups Joshua, Joshua, I remember I used to talk to Joshua
Yeah.
and he would hear me. He would always tell me the things, I'm a father to so many, and this is what I want you to do. And I followed Joshua's advice, of course, plus other many people that talked to me, my parents and all that, my auntie, and Imelda, you did a very wonderful job. Yeah, so I think that experience really changed me, guys. I know there are so many ways to describe it, but hey, yeah. But in our next video, which I think we shall be uploading very soon, which you guys shouldn't miss, Queen, when a baby is born, the first 2 months are actually very key.
Very critical.
Very, very critical. This baby is so fragile. There's a lot of care that is needed. They still have the umbilical cord which is open. They still need to be showered. The mother still needs a lot of care in that period.
The two are very delicate.
The two
both the
are
mother
very,
and the baby.
very delicate. Actually, a lot can happen even after the labor room.
Yeah.
That is what the doctors say. They say, don't get too excited that you've given birth. A lot can still happen even days after you have
You
given
need to
birth.
do a lot to
And
follow
remember,
up.
we had given birth in a period that was COVID. COVID had started, and 2 days later, after us giving birth, the Uganda government locked down.
The country.
Yeah, they locked down the country. And that period, of course, we really, really had so much to focus on that newborn baby, the mother, the baby, and stuff. And me, of course, I was also a player in this. Yeah, but that's what we're going to discuss in our next segment.
Yeah.
So, guys, we want to thank you so much for really taking off your time to give us very beautiful comments. We encourage you that you keep subscribing. And the reason we're sharing these experiences, one, is because we want to reflect on the things we have been through. But also, we want to share our story with some of you guys who may be going through this very soon or who have been through this. And exchanging those ideas will actually be very helpful. You never know who is pregnant out there or who is yet to be a father, and you don't know how to go about the things. You don't know how to have a conversation with your partner and creating all these moments. So we try to make these moments some of the good experiences. Being pregnant should never be a stressing thing.
By the way, it's a blessing.
Yes, and becoming parents should never be something that you get worried about.
Yeah.
You need to accept it first, and then the moment you accept, you know how to fit into it, and I think deliver the best.
Yeah,
in that
everything comes
parenthood.
easy, by the way.
Yeah,
After you have
so-
loads of it.
Guys who have already subscribed, this is for you from Shaka representing here. And for those of you that will be subscribing very soon, please subscribe and comment and tell us your experience. Thank you so much for watching us, and we shall be getting back to you with another video talking about our first 2 months of our baby and being parents, and that will be very, very soon. Keep it locked and don't forget to stay safe. Cheers.
Love you.
We love you so much. Give me 5.